Perfect. You guys are good.
Okay, good. Well, good morning, Rick. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you,
Um,
Jen. Good morning.
oh, good morning. You're welcome. One second here. So I really enjoyed it. Why don't you tell me, or if you don't mind, how Kandahar came to you?
I'm always looking for unique points of view in movies when I'm reading scripts. I think we've seen almost every genre done many times over. When I read Greenland for the first time, I knew it was a different point of view that we've ever seen on a comet movie, and it was no different with Kandahar. Kandahar reminded me of the movie Sicario, where the Sicario took us into the war on drugs and humanized the experience on both sides of it, to where we understood who the characters were and what was at stake, and why that cycle continues to this day. And that's what Kandahar does. It shows you that even when the war is over, the spy game continues, but it doesn't just give you the Western's version of character's point of view. It shows you the other side, who we would consider our adversaries, that a lot of them aren't the policymakers. They're just sent to enforce policy, and they're trying to get home back to their families just like we are. So it humanized the experience of the region, but also diversified it, where we're not treating the Middle East as one singular thing like a cardboard cutout.
Wow, great. Thank you. So this is your third collaboration with Gerard Butler. And there are always intense action sequences in your films with him. So if describe what goes through your mind, or the process, with those intense action scenes, like staging the helicopter crash or the market car bomb. What's your process and what are you thinking?
It's always about the emotional journey of what the character is going through. When I'm designing the action, I never think of the action first. I'm always thinking about what I want the audience to feel and how I want them to be in the thrust of it, so that if they're being chased, if my characters are being chased by a helicopter in the sky that feels like Jaws in the air, it's really about what they're feeling. And so that the action doesn't just become action for the sake of action. I'm a former stuntman, and I get asked a lot what it was like to be doing, what it was like to be in the action and doing stunts. And so here's a guy that loves action, but when I go to see movies and it's just gratuitous action, my eyes roll over like everybody else. So for me, it's always about finding the emotional integrity and the emotional thrust, so that if I'm living it through the characters, it becomes more of an IMAX experience, where then I understand what that action is like. And if I'm being chased by 50 different cars of Taliban, like Fury Road, and explosions going off around me, I'm in the emotional thrust of what that is, that be in that gauntlet run, versus just witnessing it like a voyeur.
Interesting. So how long was the Kandahar shoot?
We had two different incarnations of it. We were over there in Saudi Arabia. We were the first movie, the first Hollywood major motion picture to shoot in Saudi Arabia since Lawrence of Arabia.
Wow.
And so we were inventing their infrastructure as well at the same time. And it was fun. It was selfishly, I got to shoot landscapes that nobody had ever seen on camera. And a few of them, you could probably watch Lawrence of Arabia and Kandahar back to back and go, oh, that they shot that 70 years earlier. But the interesting thing was about showing the beauty of the region. And that's what you get with shooting in Saudi Arabia. And again, shooting landscapes you've never seen before. I didn't want the movie to feel dirty and grimy and desaturated like the last 20 years of movies that I've seen of the region. I wanted to show the beauty and the more visceral side of it. So, it was an amazing experience for everybody. We brought 450 people from 25 countries, all religions, both genders, sexual orientation, and it was a big melting pot. And it was just an amazing experience for everybody, and it was amazing for the Saudis as well. We were shooting in regions that I don't think they, let alone seeing a Westerner with, let alone 450 of them sitting, or surrounding them. And it was really a great experience.
It sounds like it was. So if you don't mind, if we can go back to the car, the market car bomb. I mean, that's a huge explosion, and there's a lot of it looks like it's a lot of extras were in that scene. Can you kind of break that scene down for me and describe the action of that car bomb scene?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'm again trying to do is give emotional integrity to the action. And how you do that is you stage and choreograph action to put a lot of characters within it so that you're not just shooting to cutaways. I'm not a big fan of that. I like to try to integrate everything in. And luckily I have, a lot of technical experience on set to keep it very safe, to put people and stage things where it looks like I'm putting them right on top of things and in harm's way, when in fact we're making sure that they're safe. Like I don't hurt people. That's a big thing for me. And make sure people go home to their families just like I want to go home to my family. And when you have a dance partner like Gerard Butler, who is really, really talented when it comes to doing stunt work and be able to drive in things like that with explosions and bombs going off around him and so forth, the marketplace sequence wouldn't have worked without him and having the actors in the mix as well, let alone all the background and extras. And remember, we're in Saudi Arabia, so almost everybody on that street had never even been in a movie before, let alone watched what we do. And so it was really talking to them, educating them, and getting to understand where we needed to be and how to keep everybody safe.
Wow. So were there any surprises during filming that ended up becoming something that you would use?
I think there always is. I think the longer I work, or I guess the more I work, I should say, you start your career as a director where you have a shot list that has every single frame, every single thing you want to do. And then you get there and you realize that filmmaking is a communal experience, right? You're trying to bring talented people in front of the camera and behind the camera around you to allow greatness to happen, that it's not just on your shoulders, but it's everybody together. The longer you go in your career, I'm at a point now where I don't ever say it was a mistake or a happy accident. They're just discoveries. My job now is to put my point of view into the way I'm going to shoot it and be very informative and communicative to my crew and to the cast, and then allow them to bring their wares to the table so that I'm allowing what some people would call improvisation. I just call bringing your own sensibilities to things. So if the dialogue changes or the movement is different, I want people to dance in a way that makes it organic. And so these beautiful moments happen because they're spontaneous. They're not so choreographed and staged that it feels cardboard or it feels stiff. I want it to feel organic.
Oh, okay. So, are during the film's editing process, do you I'm thinking that you're actively involved in the film's editing process post filming, post production. Is that right?
Oh, correct. I start by reading a script and I'm checking the answer print. I'm checking the final prints at the end. I'm through the entire process. I never quit.
So when you were in the editing process, did you find scenes that you didn't think would work, but you ended up using them anyway?
No, what makes the movie is stuff that I know carries the story forward. And I don't allow the editors on set when I'm filming, because I never want them to see me try to put some shot together for 4 hours and they're like, God, if we don't put this in the movie, he's going to kill us. For me, if it serves the movie and it propels the story forward and it tells the narrative that we want, then it's in the movie. And if it doesn't, and it doesn't serve that agenda, it's out. And for me, you have to be relentless like that. Editorial is exactly what it means, right? It's editing down to the essentials to tell your story, just the way that if you wrote a novel, you would have an editor that came in afterwards and helping you edit it down to being a concise narrative, a concise storyline. Movies are no different.
So how long from concept to completion?
This one was a little over 2 years because of the pandemic. We had gone to prep for 3 months in Saudi Arabia. And then when the Delta variant swept through Europe, it also went into the Middle East and they locked all the borders down, obviously for a reason, right? To keep people safe.
Sure.
So we went home and then we came back again and then remounted again. And so I think the whole thing was about 2.5 years.
Okay. So what was your most memorable moment from the entire process?
The making of. It was having this huge melting pot in a country that 4 years earlier was very authoritarian, no culture. There was nothing but work, pray, and sleep. Women did not have rights. And watching what is happening there, it was shocking to a lot of people, where I would have to talk to them because I'd been there for a couple of months and seen it firsthand. I had more women working on this movie than I've ever had any movie. I've had this melting pot of people that all stuck in together and forgot the divisive world that we live in and came together no matter who they were. We had, as you know, the movie's in 6 languages, and we had probably more languages on set, but everybody really just found a way to get together on it and get stuck in. And you know, we've been through a lot as a human race in the last several years with pandemics and movements and people trying to be heard. And that was my favorite experience about this, is it really humanized it. It humanized the experience of what we were trying to capture, which is the human experience on camera, if that makes sense. And sometimes that doesn't all go together. So the experience of shooting it, I think, resonates on what you would see in the movie theater. So hopefully people will support the movie. And you know, these adult driven action movies are now the underdog, coming off the pandemic, where we're getting people to go back to theaters in the huge tent poles, but we're trying to get them back the way that we did back before the pandemic on these type of films. And so hopefully people will support Kandahar and many more to come, and where I can keep making these movies and doing what I love to do, which is, you know, trying to tell stories in different ways.
Exactly. Sounds great. So what's next for you?
We're just circling right now to figure out whether we're doing the sequel to Greenland first, which will be less of a sequel. It's a continuation. It's what the first movie did, taking you up to the extinction event. The second movie now will show you who survived and how they tried to rebuild the earth from scratch again. And I'm also in talks right now of doing Cliffhanger, which will be a continuation of the great 1993 film, the original, and showing a new generation of where it's going. The way Stallone took on the Rocky franchise and passed the torch to Michael B. Jordan and the Creed franchise, we'll be doing the same with Cliffhanger.
Wow, sounds great. Okay, Rick, thank you so much for your time. I certainly appreciate it. I really enjoyed Kandahar, and I loved the other movies that you do also. Just to let you know,
Thank you.
I'm a big action fan, and so those movies are, I really enjoy them.
Well,
So,
let's get people to movie theaters. I don't want to end up in a streaming business. So whatever you can do, we appreciate it.
oh, well, thanks. Thanks so much. All righty. Well, have a great day, and I certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Janet.
Okay, bye.
Bye.